you've ever felt like you've been working hard and not seeing the results, this episode is for you. Most creators are hustling between too many lanes. A little bit of service, a little bit of coaching, trying to build an audience, but none of them are really paying. Brandon Birkmeyer explained how to pick the lane that puts the most money in your pocket and how to stack the others for later. Most creators are grinding, posting, editing, just doing everything they can, but are still seeing no consistent income. The truth is they're spread too thin across too many lanes. That's why I brought on Brandon Birkmeyer, a content creator and speaker, someone who's done it all. He's grown his YouTube channel to 100,000 subscribers, works with top creators behind the scenes, and helped countless other creators find the model that actually pays. Through his expertise, he found the difference between creators who struggle and the ones that are actually getting paid is one thing: picking the right money model. In this episode, Brandon breaks down the 4 paths: being a content creator, being a service provider, being a coach, or being a speaker, and how to choose which lane will pay you the most now and still aligns with your long-term goals. We'll talk income potential, pitfalls, how to stop dabbling in everything so you can start earning consistently with your income. So we were talking off camera a little bit, and you had mentioned that most creators are doing it wrong when it comes to making money online. So I want to know, what are some common mistakes that creators are making?
Yeah, I mean, it's a loaded question, right? But the first thing I think most creators are doing wrong in terms of getting paid is they are relying on one income stream. And mostly they're hoping that the tools that they're using, like a YouTube or a podcast provider, will pay them. They're hoping for the creator fund. They're hoping for the audience to drive their revenue. And for most people, that's not the case. That's reserved for the top, half of a percentage. And you could get paid, but it might be a few $100s. And even that requires an audience that's bigger than most people can build. I mean, the average person isn't building audiences that are that large. So what do the rest of us do? And for me, the answer isn't get paid via ads. It is building a business around the things that you do well, around your passions, around your interests, monetizing them other ways, and leveraging the creator tools for sure, audience and credibility, but not as the way to get paid.
So let's touch on that in terms of monetizing your passion, because there's other passions that are more profitable than others. So if someone came to you and said, like basket weaving or something like that, how could they monetize something that doesn't seem like something that would make a lot of money?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ways to monetize. It depends on who do you want to be? Who do you want to be when you grow up? The typical models for someone who's sharing their ideas with the world is you have 5 or 6 ways you can go. You can just be a creator and wait, like we talked about, or you can take that knowledge and coach people. There's plenty of ways to build packages and offers that offer your ideas to other people, whether it's in cohort coaching, online coaching, one-on-one group, lots of ways to do that. So you got be a creator, be a coach. You could be a speaker, get on stages, have other people pay you to be on their stage and teach their audiences. You can create digital products like online courses or things that you sell that are digital, might be PDF downloads, books, anything like that. So digital products. You can offer services. You can be a freelancer in your field, someone who, based on the knowledge, also offers a service that solves a certain problem for your audience. Mm-hmm. Or you can be sponsored. You can work with people to partner and create content in a way that supports your sponsors. So lots of ways to make money out there. Those are just a few of them, but It all relies on who do you want to be when you build your business? What kind of work do you want to do?
Mm-hmm. So you've worked with a lot of creators and helping them make money. Say someone came to you, you laid all that out for them, and they said, Brandon, just tell me what's the most lucrative path. I don't forget all that who I'm trying to be stuff. Just let me know where the bag is. What would you tell them?
I'd say that they're being a little impatient, but I think that the real answer is that the low-hanging fruit, the easiest way to get paid is for your effort, not for your knowledge. So a service-based business is usually the easiest way. So a lot of people, for example, when social media started to become a thing, they said, okay, how can I help people who aren't as good at social media by offering a service, right? Let me do the social media for you. Instead of teaching you how to do it, let me
Right.
become a social media creator, a social media manager, a social media agency. But you can apply that same thinking to anything that's new. Like AI is huge right now. Where's the bag, right? Where's the low hanging fruit for AI? Well, it's learning it and implementing the lower hanging fruit in AI for businesses that don't want to do it for themselves, that are slower to jump on the trend. So you putting your effort in and saying, I will do it for you. I will be the service. I will be a writer, a creator, a producer, an editor. Time for work, or sorry, work for money, right? Time for money. That's the easy exchange.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. No, I completely agree. 100% having a service-based business is probably the easiest path to go, especially with the new trend of AI and all that stuff. That's actually how I got started. I started with my marketing agency, helping creators expand their brand. Came in, started doing their short form content. Actually, just signed a new client the other day, helping her with her content, and it's been going pretty well. Just dropped a trailer for her for her latest episode today. So I started that, and then I transitioned into like making my own show, because it's like, if I helping other people grow their brand, why would I not grow mine at the same time?
Yeah, no, exactly. See, you're proof. You're proof. The answer wasn't wrong. But but most people then, so for me, I worked at ad agencies for 17 years, and I said, oh, I didn't want to build an agency myself, even though I knew that was the easiest path to income.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the kind of work I wanted to do. So if that's how you have to start, great. But if you then want to move on to getting paid less for your effort and more for your knowledge, then you do have to build a bit of a following, a bit of credibility to get there, maybe some influence as well. And then you can start transitioning into, well, how do I take the work that I do and turn it into something that I can sell, like somehow productize it?
So on the guides of that, so my target audience is mainly people who are just starting out, or people who haven't really taken off yet, right? So say like they don't have those testimonials, those case studies under their belt to be able to have proof to get more clients. How would you recommend they go about getting that proof?
So it starts with trust, right? No one's going to pay you if they don't trust you.
Mm-hmm.
And trust has become a fluffy word, but what it really means is you have to work with people who already know you, that are willing to say, yeah, like I'll let you do some work for me, even if they're not paying you. So finding people to partner with, I do that with new offers still. Like right now, I'm helping people in a new way that I haven't done before. I'm like, hey, let's look at, I built some visibility for myself via YouTube. This was a new thing for me. Let me help some people I know, like speakers that I've met that are in my city. Let me help them see if I can grow their channels the way I grew mine, right? I'm only offering it to people that I know. And let me see how that goes. And then we can turn that around and say, hey, people, here are some case studies. Here's, some proof that I can do what I say I can do. And then you can broaden the spectrum of the work.
Absolutely. And I like how you touched on working for free, because I think a lot of people have this negative connotation for working for free. And I'll admit, I did too. So when I started my agency, some of my clients have been with me for 2 years, and they're paying me anywhere between $1,000, $3,000 a month to do their content. And just the thought of offering my services for free, and I knew my worth, I'm like, I'm not doing that for free. Like, that's bullshit, da da da. And then it came to a point. I had this realization probably like a month or two ago, when Alex Hormozy dropped his book, $100 Million Money Models, and he was talking about attraction offers and just basically making offers so good they can't say no. And I was like, you know what? And I started to look at my numbers for marketing and all this other stuff, and I'm like, honestly, it would low-key be cheaper for me to just do like a 2-week trial, eat those costs to get that person just through the door, right? And so the client that I just signed for their podcast, I did that yesterday, and the trust is a big component, because one thing I do is it's a done for you service. And so like I get access to like their social medias, and she told me that she got scammed in the past and all this other stuff. And so I told her, I said, look, I'm giving you like what I'm giving her is what I like, the top of the notch package, because I want to get her trust. right? I'm not giving her like just a bunch of bullshit just because, you know, she's, you know, I'm technically working for free. So that's definitely a stigma that I had to break for myself in my journey.
Well, and think about this. I'm not saying reach out to people who are cold audiences, because I get the spam. You probably get it too
Really?
every day. That's like,
Yeah.
hey, if you just give me a chance, like here's some edited videos I've done for you, or here's an audit of your YouTube channel, but I don't know you. So
Yeah.
I'm not even interested in clicking on it, because even if you did a good job, I still don't trust you. Like, I don't trust you to do work for me. I don't trust you to pay you. I don't trust you to have access to what I do. So it's harder with cold audiences. So for me, there does have to be some establishment of relationship. And that can happen with people you know, and then recommendations you get through those people. But it also can happen by you being more accessible and involved in your community. So I figure out, like, where can I go to build relationships? I call it I have a book called Front and Center Leadership. One of the things we talk about is networking. And what I like to say is you have to pick purposeful places to participate. And what does that mean? It means where are you going to go that has the people you want to meet and talk to and help? And it helps if you have a reason to be there, not just going to random meetings where you shouldn't be. But I'm like, what are things I want to learn? Okay, what are the clubs, associations, events that have those things? Because now I have things in common with the people I go to the events with, and I meet people and shake hands. And as I get to know them, they might know someone that they could recommend that could work with me. Like an introduction is an easy way to start trust, because someone else already knows them. So I go places where I can meet people. They've seen me in person, and that leads to more and more people starting to get to know me.
If this breakdown is clicking for you, please make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next strategy. Thank you so much for your support. Now back to the show. And I love that a lot. That's actually something that Andre, I think his last name's White, Andre White, he was a speaker at Podcast Movement, and he was talking about, he had his session on how to grow on social media, and he said one of his strategies that he does is he has his podcast is Redacted History, so he's like in the history niche. So what he said he did is he would be in the comments of different history Instagrams or TikToks or whatever, and then just be chatting with people, like being engaged in the community like you said. And I swear that has been on my to-do list for so long. I just have not gotten around to like finally being active, but I like to hear two different creators say the same thing.
Yeah, I mean that's why you go to something like Podcast Movement. I go to Podcast Movement. I go to Podfest because when I started becoming a podcaster, I wanted to be around other podcasters, and those people, they're not great clients for me necessarily, but they might know people that could be clients. And so I built a lot of friendships and relationships in those spaces that's podcasting is one of my things, but when I wanted to be a speaker, I went to the Speakers Association and joined that and got to know people there. When I wanted to write a book, I started joining like events, the Independent Book Publishers Association. So I figure, what is the thing I want to learn? Where do I want to go? And how can I join those clubs and events that have those things? Like I'm in the Marketing Association, same thing, because I have a history in marketing. There's a lot of places where people are looking for community. So how do you engage and be involved?
So I want to touch on the speaking engagement. So say like a creator, they are established, they have their service, and now they think that they're ready to like be on stage and speak. So I wanted to ask you about your journey. How did you get your foot in the door when it came to speaking gigs?
Yeah, speaking's a funny thing. So for a lot of people, it starts to happen a little bit organically. If you are going to events, sometimes you're like, well, I could have spoken on that stage and said more than I heard today. And you start to realize that it's not as scary or hard as it looks. And it really is like a little bit of an ego trip. You're like, I could have done that. And at some point you realize, is the knowledge I share something I want to give to people in that format? If you're a coach, especially, you might be like, okay, if I'm on these stages, maybe I can get clients, that kind of thing. But once you're motivated to do it, then for me, I think of it as projects. Every time I take on something, I've mentioned a few of them, each one I thought was a project. I want to build a podcast. I want to write a book. I want to speak on a stage. I want to build an online course. Every year I say, what's my project? And then you have to I embed myself in the project. So for speaking, As soon as I got that bug and I said, I want to do that, I said, okay, well, what are the things I need to learn? Where are the places I need to go? And what are the skills I need to pick up? So I joined the Speakers Association. They offered in my community, they offered a class, and it was how to build your speaking business. I took that class. I met the people in the association that had been doing it for a long time, and I brought them on as mentors and said, like, how would I work with you? I looked at the YouTube videos of the people who have done it and said, okay, how do they talk about building a speaking business? So I was a sponge absorbing how to do it, right? Before you can get good at anything, you have to learn. It doesn't just happen. So I'm still on that journey and trying to get better and get around people who can make me better. But yeah, it starts with that. Once you pick it as something you want to do, then you can build a plan and say, okay, like, how do I get to that goal?
Yeah, I love how you talked about learning, signing up for the Speakers Association, and just continuing to be a student of the game. That's really what it is. The name of the game is just continuously learning, networking, all that stuff. The second that you say, "Oh, I don't need this," or "I've been on this stage," like that's when you fall off. Especially because everything is just ever so changing, especially with social media. The same strategies that worked in 2015, 2020, they don't work anymore. It's 2025.
And when you get around people who have done it longer or know it better than you, here's what happens. You actually realize that what you thought it isn't. So for speaking, I thought, okay, the job is to apply to a bunch of speaking engagements, right? I'm like, okay, there's like 6, 7 conferences I might want to speak at. I guess I just apply to them. But I learned by joining the Speakers Association that that's not what it is. Like, what it actually was for me is, as one option, right? I want to speak to corporations. Well, the journey there is to apply to associations. So I can pick what type of associations do I want to be a part of, like the Human Resource Association, the Talent Development Association, the Marketing. Okay, they have chapters across the country. If I apply to a chapter here in Raleigh and I get the easy speaking engagement, then I can then say, hey, I did it in Raleigh. Hey, Atlanta chapter, do you need a speaker? Hey, LA chapter, do you need a speaker? It was a totally different mindset shift than what I thought. I thought I was applied to big events. It wasn't for me. And if you're a college speaker, same thing. Like, maybe there's different relationships you need to build than you think. So because I got curious, I actually realized the approach wasn't what I thought it was. So you just learn, just like when I'm sure you got into podcasting and video, you started to realize when you talk to other podcasters, oh, this game is a little different than I thought it was.
Absolutely. So when I first started my show back in, what was it? It was May of last year. Like, I always wanted to be on camera. But once I started going to all these conferences, like, everybody kept like pushing, like, yo, you have to be on YouTube, you have to be on camera, all this stuff. I was already doing it, so that was good. But, like, that's an example of, if you are podcasting and you have a really nice size audience on audio, like, yeah, you could still grow, but, like, you're not going to grow nearly as fast as some people that started their show on YouTube. And that's just the name of the game. So, and the game just changes based off of who you talk to. And if you just didn't go to different conferences and you were just doing your thing on the audio side, you would have never known that, oh shoot, I need to be on YouTube.
Yeah. I mean, what happens when I go to podcast conferences? Well, I go to I realize that they have a bunch of speakers, a bunch of things that they're teaching. And I realize the biggest in-demand talk at the podcast conference is how to grow an audience. And why is that? It's because everyone that starts a podcast is like, oh, like, I did it, but no one's listening. Like, the average podcast is like 100 listeners, 150 listeners, something like that per episode, which is nothing, but that's like the average. Most people's podcasts don't have a lot of listeners. So everyone's trying to figure out, how do I get more than 100? How do I get more than 200? And then you look at the YouTubers and they're like, oh, like that YouTube did it for me. And like, it was like, YouTube has a better discovery engine than podcasts do.
Absolutely.
But it's harder to make a YouTube video. So you start to realize, like, once you're in the game, like, the game is different than you thought it was.
The game is different than you thought, especially YouTube. One thing that I just noticed that YouTube YouTube came out, I think it's like only been like a couple of weeks. They started doing collaborations. I just did my first collaboration episode. We could do one too, on YouTube, do a collab. And it's great, being able to get in front of other people's audiences and stuff. So yeah, YouTube is great. So if you're listening to this right now and you are looking to monetize, you should start your brand on YouTube. That's why I always tell people, start your brand on YouTube. The name of the game is really just time on brand. You're not necessarily going to get that time on brand if all you're making is TikToks and Instagram reels. Like there's a time and place for that, but the real money is in building your brand on YouTube for sure.
Yeah, I would say if you want to get discovered, that's the way to go. But it's hard, right? For most people, they're not going to get started if they do the hardest thing first.
Yeah.
So I think the
true.
best stepping stone is a podcast in general, because you can then expand it. When I started, the first however many episodes were not video. You know, the camera was on, but I wasn't posting it. It was just on because I wasn't like, I'm just looking at my notes, you know, and then if I had a guest, obviously I want to see my guest, but I didn't have the intention of making YouTube videos because I knew they weren't good enough, like the minimum viable quality. And you've seen people post their podcasts on YouTube. Yeah. They don't do anything to edit them. They have the guest intro themselves. There's the thumbnails are not even thumbnails. They're not doing the work. So no one's going to listen to it. And then they get these signals that tell them why, like, this show isn't good because no one's like, I got 3 viewers on YouTube. Why did I bother putting it here? Well, it's because you didn't do the work to make it good enough. So fine, if you want to get started, take the easy road, right? Sure, do a podcast. And as you start to get better, you're like, oh, like, okay, now I'm going to change the way I ask questions. Now I'm going to invest in my studio and some lighting. Maybe now I'm going to get a better microphone. Cool. Like you could build to that, but it never happens if you don't start somewhere.
Got to start somewhere. So I think you already answered that in terms of for someone who just needs to get started, you recommend that they go the podcast audio route for building their brand?
It depends. What I actually recommend is start where you create what's easiest to create for you. Yeah. So for a lot of people I meet that are in corporate, right, that like they've had regular 9-to-5 jobs and most their like stuff's professional, LinkedIn might be easier for them. They like, I want to start to use LinkedIn because I know like my colleagues and stuff are on that. Okay, cool. Like write some LinkedIn posts, write some LinkedIn articles, maybe start a LinkedIn newsletter. It's all right there and it's super professional and you can just write. You don't even have to create video or audio. You can just write and you can use tools like ChatGPT to take what you write and make it better. Cool. Start with that. Start getting a regular habit of sharing your idea and perspectives. For other people, like that doesn't feel normal at all. For me, writing takes forever. So when I realized that I could just hit record on a microphone and talk, like it was game over, right? Because I could talk for hours, like, or have a conversation with a friend. Sure, jump on Zoom, let's go. So for me, conversation was easier than writing. So I think you got to pick what works for you. Other people, they're like, I want to go live. Cool, go live. Just talk like you would normally talk to your friends on a live. So I think you got to pick what works naturally with your skills and then start to like get good at it. And then you can broaden it.
Yeah. I like that you say that in terms of picking what you're good at, because at the end of the day, or what's comfortable, because at the end of the day with this content game, you have to be in it for the long haul. And if you don't like it, or it's okay to not be good at it, but like if you just don't like it, then you're just not going to survive. As you know, like a lot of podcasters don't even get past episode 3, 5, whatever. They just fall off because they don't like it. And the reason why I'm actually approaching episode 100 pretty soon, but that's because like I enjoy doing this. I enjoy the dialogue, so I'm able to withstand the troughs of podcasting. I'm sure you know all about that, losing listeners and going on vacation, having to batch record content. It's hard work. So if you're looking to build a brand and monetize your content, I would say that the best way to do it is to just start somewhere and be consistent for at least a year.
Yeah, I would say 2 things to that. I agree. But the first thing I would say is that the commitment part, a lot of that is driven by your goals. So like, what do you want to happen? Why are you doing this in the first place? I think a lot of people start it and they don't think about what they want to happen, or they have the wrong idea of what the benefits are. And I did too. And I think when you realize that it's not like if you got 30 listens and it's mostly your friends, was it a success or was it a failure or was it neither? And if you could change your perspective to say, well, the goal wasn't listeners, right? Or the goal wasn't people reading what I wrote. The goal was to write. The goal was to express myself. The goal was to do this for a year or whatever the thing is. Then you could look backwards, like pick a time period. Say, I'm not going to judge myself for 6 months or 12 months. And then after the 6 months or 12 months, you could say, okay, what did I do? What did I accomplish? And you can then be proud of, okay, I shared ideas 50 weeks of the 52 or whatever it was. You know, like I look back over a year, I got 52 things that I said that were my opinions, and they're all documented on LinkedIn or on a podcast or on YouTube. Like that's an accomplishment. And you got better at it. Like how much better did you get versus the first time? How many more people did you meet? Like if you did half of those as interviews, you had 25 people that you didn't know before, and now you've had deep conversations. Like me and Myles didn't know each other, but we had a pre-call. We have the call today, and after this, we're gonna feel more connected, right? And Myles, I'm gonna feel less awkward if Myles DMs me or emails me and says, "Hey, like, do you know such and such? I saw you guys are connected. Maybe there's an introduction there," or vice versa. How much better would your life be in 12 months if you had all these extra relationships that you've pushed into that you didn't have before? So I think about that. So that was the first thing. The second is at the end of it, most of your actions takes place automatically, right? We have these things we do and we get used to repetition. It's because our bodies, like they prefer habits. It's exhausted to do new things. But if you did something every week for a year, it becomes a habit and it's not exhausting anymore. And now you can just be excited about the work.
Yeah. One thing I want to go back to that you said, we were talking about brand. It's a lot of pre-planning. I think is really key. So if you have like a spectrum, because my show is about helping creators monetize their content and make consistent income with their content, I would say monetization is all the way over here, because at the end of the day, when you first start, you ain't gonna get paid. So you're gonna be all the way on the, let's say, left or my left, right?
Sure.
And then on the right is monetization. Understanding what your brand is and what you want your brand to be should be the very first thing that you do, because that is going to influence the platform you choose, how you show up, just all those things. And then you could niche down from there, because a lot of people think that once you niche down, that's bad because you can't make as much money. And I was just listening to, I want to say it was the 505 podcast, I want to say, and they were talking about how niching down is actually a way to convert better in terms of sponsorships, because if your audience is engaged with a particular niche, and then there's an alignment with a certain sponsor, then you'll be able to convert significantly more than as opposed to if you just had a broad show and then you just were selling whatever. Yeah. So I agree.
And that's what we talked about when I was like, well, who do you want to be? Right. Because if your goal is sponsors, then you want to be a creator, and the sponsors aren't going to care unless you have an audience. And that's a very long-term goal. Right. But if you're like, well, I tried it for 6 weeks and I got no audience, so I have no sponsors, you're going to give up. Like this didn't work. Well, yeah, that was not the right plan, right? But at the end of the day, when we're thinking about all of this, and you talk about brand, right? For me, I think it confuses people, because if you say, well, to get started, the first thing you need is a brand, I think that is daunting, because they think of all the things that make something look really good that like the pros are doing. Here's what I'd say. If you want to do something like this, I don't think you need because I'm in the personal branding space, right? And we're building shows that it's us putting ourselves out there. You are already a brand in that your reputation is your brand. The question isn't what's your brand. The question is, what the hell do you want to talk about? Like, because that level of focus isn't the exact word, but I would say understanding what category you want to talk about things in is important. Like if you come on and one day you want to talk about travel, and the next food, and the next business, and then money, and then branding, the people listening don't know why to tune in. They don't know what they're going to get that week and why to tune in again next week. If they know every week you're talking about money, cool. You're fulfilling the promise of why they tune into the show. So what I like to say is like, figure out what block you want to be on, like what neighborhood, at least in general, like that it makes sense. And that doesn't have to be so niche. It just has to make sense as a category. And what's nice is Apple Podcasts does this for you. Amazon Books does this for you already. If you're like, oh, if I just consider this show that I'm doing or this content I'm creating as a book or a podcast, what category, if I had to pick one, does it fit in? Like, is it business? Is it culture? Is it health? Like what very broad category do I fit into? Once you know it's business, like for me, it's business. Okay, well, what are the subcategories in business? Am I finance? Am I marketing? Am I entrepreneurship? Well, no, I want to build a show that's marketing based. Okay, cool. And now I'm competing with just the marketing shows. So as we start to figure that stuff out about brand, I'm just like, what do you really want to talk about? Does it have a category? And then you could figure out what your personal flavor is, what your themes are that you like to lean into, people start to understand your voice. And for me, that started to be the personal branding thing. It's, let's find your voice, who you are, and leverage that to be seen, right? Everyone's got their own thing, but you have to kind of find your way there, but it starts with what block you want to be on.
All right. So Brandon, you scaled to 100K subs on YouTube. And I just want to ask you, what was your strategy to get there?
Yeah. So what the users, what they don't have is the context, right? What they don't know is that a few months ago, it was 1,500 subscribers. And it was 5 to 6 years of YouTube videos, 500 plus videos. And I'm not saying that's what it takes. I'm saying like I had already been creating content for that long and nothing was happening, right? It was a subscriber at a time and then you're losing a subscriber.
Yeah.
Right? It was very slow. And the difference was it was just a place where I was posting things. YouTube for me was just a place to put the things I was making for other channels because I wasn't trying to be a creator. I wasn't trying to be someone who's getting paid for ads. It was a place for me to build credibility, build relationships. And when I'm making money, it's because I'm meeting people and networking and talking about what I do and building relationships and building a business on coaching and courses and that kind of stuff. So YouTube wasn't a part of the plan. But I decided since I started speaking, and speaking is a part of the business now, that YouTube was important to me. So I said, let's make YouTube a project. What are we going to do with YouTube to stand out? And there's a lot of different pieces to this, more than we can get into in one podcast. But the one thing that changes for me, that's different than other people, which is why I could grow a channel from 1,500 people to 100,000 subscribers in 30 days, by the way, because I said I gave myself that challenge, which it boggles the mind to some people. The way I did that is because I looked at YouTube differently. I said, YouTube for me is not a place to post things. YouTube is a platform. It's a tool. It's a media tool. It's an advertising tool. And as someone who has experienced that, I could leverage that differently than other people. I spent 17 years at ad agencies understanding how to use channels. Like I know how to use billboards. I know how to use magazines. I know how to use TV shows. I know how to use websites and social media because every one of them is a tool that has levers you can pull. What are the levers on YouTube? Well, you've heard some of them. You want to grow subscribers, go viral. That's one way that's one lever. You change your thumbnails. You use search engine optimization of your titles, your keywords, your descriptions. You get good at mastering hooks. You create storylines that are mass appealing, right? There's levers to this. So I started to understand what the organic levers are and also what the paid levers are. There's promotions you can run that are targeted. There are short-term promotions, audience growing promotions. There's video viewership promotions. Point is, it's a tool. So I said, okay, when I go into this and I learn how to use the tool, I start to now know what the best practices are to drive growth. So that's the short answer. It's not going to give them a magic bullet because it doesn't exactly work like that. But it can be done when you understand that these things aren't just places to post things, that there is a method to it. That's why the rich get richer. That's why the Mr. Beasts of the world don't have to try. It's not because they already have subscribers. It's because they already know the formula. And once YouTube knows that they're going to, like every time Mr. Beast posts something, people want to see it. They're like, okay, we're just going to keep throwing viewers at you. We're going to keep throwing subscribers at you. But you got to get past a certain threshold. You have to get past the point of quality. You have to get past the point of understanding the tool. and knowing how to use it and pull the levers quickly.
Mm-hmm. Was there anything that changed about the type of content that you made?
No. And well, here's the thing. Like, I started taking videos that were a couple years old and using them to grow the channel, and new videos to grow the channel. The difference is, I got 4 things, right? There's obviously what those key differences are, which you talked about, but there's steps to this. And the 4 kind of buckets, there's a lot of levers, but the buckets that matter to me, one is the positioning of the channel. When someone comes to the channel, what are they looking for? What are they finding? Are the videos there serving them for the thing that they're talking about? So for me, it's personal branding. My positioning is personal branding. So the videos that I work on, that I spend extra time on, are things that align me in the personal branding space with the right content, the right topics that people are interested in, the right guests that people want to hear from, that are positioned to say, Brandon, when you think personal branding, you think Brandon, right? So positioning is one thing. What is the channel about? What is the voice of the channel? What are we talking about? The second thing after positioning is packaging. You do have to make it look good, sound good. That's why I care about the lighting, the office that I'm in, the sound quality of the microphone, how I'm editing it. And when you start to compare a good channel to, a whatever channel, you notice these things. You could just tell. Yeah. Like, it's edited differently. The first 3 minutes are completely different. The hooks are different. The thumbnails are different. All the things you've heard, but haven't put the effort into, right? So packaging is a big part of it. There's promotions. So you have positioning, packaging, promotions. Promotions, most people don't want to touch because they don't see ROI. So they say, why would I invest in advertising my show when I don't know how I'm making money off my show?
Yeah.
But I understand that if I want to grow an audience, I know what the value of that is to me. So I pay for promotions. I promote my content. But that's a whole nother game to understand. But I come from advertising, so it was easier for me. But promotions are part of it. And then partnerships. So 4 Ps. But the last one's partnerships. So what does that mean? It means things like this: leveraging other people and their audiences to introduce you to new audiences. Leveraging key players in the industry to build a brand association, to build credibility. And leveraging the clout of others and the interest in other people. There are people that are, if I say someone else's name in my title instead of my own, I put their face instead of my own, and they are more known in the industry than me, there's more likely chance that it's going to pop off. Or that when I support it with promotions, there's going to be higher click-through, higher engagement, longer viewership. So yeah, position the show, package it well, promote it, and then partner with the people in the industry that are bigger than you. So that's my framework, if you will.
I like it. Appreciate you dropping those gems of a framework. But Brandon, it's been great having you on the show. Thank you so much for dropping all the gems today. Hope everybody learned something about how to make some money off their content. Before we close out, is there anything that you want to leave the audience with today?
Yeah, I'd like to say that if you're thinking about this and you can imagine yourself doing something like the things we've been talking about today, I say just give yourself the opportunity, because your perspective is your power. The only thing that's unique in this world is your experience and how you express it to other people. So when you start to tap into that power of your ideas, you start to attract the people to you. And that attraction, those people you start to bring along with you on the way, is what creates the opportunity for business, for success, for influence. And hopefully if there's 1 or 2 people that like listen to our show today, they were like, I like this guy. Like, he doesn't sound totally full of shit. Cool. Like, maybe I have 1 more listener that's willing to jump on and check out Brands on Brands. Check out the Brands on Brands podcast. See what I'm into, right? But it starts with me sharing ideas like we did today. And everyone can do that.
Thank you so much, Brandon, for coming on the show. Where can the people find you at?
Brandsonbrands.com. That's the easiest way to go. Brands on Brands.
Okay, for sure. Thank you so much. We're going to put that in the show notes. Hope you guys learned how to make some money today. Till next time. Peace. If you got just one good idea from this episode, please consider subscribing so you don't miss the next one. And if you liked all the insights from this episode and looking for more, click on the video on your screen right now.